Okay, and we are live. Hello, YouTube Live. I almost said Yahoo Land. It's been a day. We are going, Sarah is supposed to be joining us today, and she has not quite made it here yet. But Sophia's here, and I am here. Let me,
Hi, everybody.
and and if she does, I don't know if she had to work. It's hard. What? No, go ahead. What?
No, no, no. I was watching the live chat,
Oh,
and
oh,
because I was in it before.
oh, oh, yeah. Okay, I see. Um, Let me see. Yada 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 yada. Okay. And I'm going to there. I'm closing out some things here because otherwise my system will slow down really bad. Okay. Well, even if since Sarah's not here yet, we're hoping she still is just running late. And we do have some things that we do want to talk about. Sophia, do you want to clue them in on what that would be?
Uh, what I have right here are forms from the Hennepin County ME's office, and it was when their bodies were released from the ME to go to the funeral home. And so I thought this would be interesting to discuss. And I actually had some questions in regards to it. So,
Yeah, I will show you guys what that is. What she is speaking of. And it is these forms right here. So just waiting for it to pop up so I make sure. And yes, it's going to share now. Alrighty then. Yeah, these are the forms. Do you want to go ahead and talk about what it is and what questions you had?
I really can't read that page. I just have everything else screenshot. The first page, I think, is Kamel's.
Yeah, public data form is Kamel.
Yes, let me just finish typing this real quick.
Okay. I'm just going to slowly scroll through this so everybody can take a quick gander.
And Greg is supposed to put this up on his website. I need to see about putting it in the group for everyone. I'll do that tonight after the show.
Okay.
But so it's from the Hennepin County, and it goes over the information in regards to Kamel, David, and Rania. I'm going to put it right here so I can see this. Okay, and the first page in all of that is for Kamel. And then it just has her ME number, date of birth, date of death, which, interesting enough, is the day that they were found.
And that's standard operating procedure. If the death time and date is not known exactly, they will put the date a body is found. Just so everybody knows. That's why it's always states January 17th.
Was Kamel actually 5 feet?
You know, I saw that, and 85 pounds, that seems so tiny. I don't know. That's very short.
Because I'm 4'11". That's why I'm asking. And she didn't seem to be that tiny.
Yeah, I thought she was taller. Of course, I don't know. I'm very bad with heights and weights.
I thought I got her height off of the autopsy when I was doing the footprint stuff.
Yeah, and I thought they had her as 5 feet in there as well. So I don't know. It just seems very, very short. And if you're only 4'11", I'm sorry. That's short.
It is short. Imagine going to the grocery store and everything you need is up on that top.
Yeah.
It's a triangle.
Yeah.
it's hard. It's difficult.
Okay.
Um,
Anything else you wanted to see about this? Oh, let's bring attention to where it says the identifying marks and scars. We were talking about that earlier, but it says no record. And this was something we really wanted to talk to Sarah about because Sophia and I were like thinking, wouldn't her tattoos be written here? Instead of having no record, they clearly have a record of her tattoos.
to me, you would think that that's something that they would put in there.
Yeah, that's something I thought too. It's like, yep, that would make sense.
And I don't understand, like the build, they have no record of that. Complexion, they have no record of that.
Right. And they clearly know her hair color. They clearly know her build. They clearly know her complexion. And especially when down here, they're getting data also from the death certificate. Well, okay, maybe it's not going to put it on the death certificate, but if her nationality is from Saudi Arabia, I think that's where, yeah, birthplace, then clearly her complexion is not going to be white. You know, they should have a record that she's like a tan color. She's like beautiful brown skin. Yeah, this is just weird.
She did have beautiful skin.
Yeah, she did.
And you're right, they did have 5 feet as her height in the autopsy. I just didn't realize she was that short.
Yeah, that seems a little weird. Very, very short. Okay, is there anything else you wanted to bring here? Or should we go down to the next one, to Ranya's?
Where did I get that her feet were like 7, size 7, 7.5?
I don't know.
Oh, okay, never mind. I'm sorry, folks.
Short people can have big feet.
I'm thinking out loud here. It's kind of okay. Let's see here. We have her occupation. Her business was in the whole name of her father, name of her mother, birthplace, manner of death was homicide, cause of death, gunshot wound to the head. There was several, but I guess. Cause of death.
I know. It's like I was just reading that. What causes?
Redundant.
Excuse me. What does that mean?
Autopsy performed conclusive, I guess. Decedent's residence was the place of the injury, how injury occurred. Deceased was shot by another individual. I found that interesting. It wasn't, they didn't name who did it. They didn't say husband or spouse. They just said another individual.
Yeah, it would be nice to know if that's standard wording or if this means something else. Yeah.
Let's see. She was going to be buried. Date of disposition is unknown, and then they give the place of the burial, the funeral home, Midwest Mortuary, and that's about it. The funeral director's name.
Why would they not know the date of disposition when they're the ones who are releasing the body? Okay, now I get why you have some questions about.
Yeah, and wait till you get to David's. That has even more red flags on it. You're just like, okay. So then there's Ranya's. They have her ME number, her date of birth, her date of death, the address, female, age 5, 3, she's 3'7", weight 25 pounds. anything. Race, white. Citizenship, United States. Hair color, brown. Eye color, unknown. Build, no record. Complexion, no record. No identifying marks, scars, amputations. Then they described her clothing that she was that she had wore when she was brought to the MU's office. Sorry. She did not serve in the Air Force or in the Armed Services, excuse me. No occupation, no business. Father's name, David Crowley. Mother's name, Camille Crowley. Birthplace of decedent was Waco. Birthplace of parents, no record. Manner of death was homicide, unalived. Gunshot wound to the head. Autopsy, conclusive. Date of injury was 1/17/2015. Deceased was shot by another individual. No physician was in attendance. I'm sorry. One second. Guys, I'm live. Okay. Carter. Okay. Type of disposition of the body will be cremation. Date of the disposition is unknown. Place of burial, no place. That's not even filled out. And then the funeral home, Michelson Funeral Home. And the local funeral director. And then the last one is David's. Let me see. David Crowley. Date of birth, his date of death. Address, male, age 29, height 5 feet 10 inches, weight 128 pounds. Race, white, citizenship, United States. Hair color, brown, eye color, unknown, build, unknown, complexion, no record. And then the description of his clothing. He was married. His spouse was Camille Crowley. The location of death is their address. Served in the United States Air Force. Every time I see an alien force, I think of that. Armed Forces. Occupation, screenwriter, business, entertainment. Father's name, Daniel Crowley. Mother's name, Catherine Crowley. Birthplace of decedent, St. Paul, Minnesota. Birthplace of parents, no record. Place of injury. Okay, there was an autopsy performed. It was conclusive. Decedent's residence is the place of injury. Deceased apparently shot himself in the head.
Yeah, I want to know how they always get the apparently. It's like, oh, okay, that we're just gonna say that because we don't have any proof it was anything else. So apparently he did it himself. Mm-hmm.
Attendance of physician, NA, physician name and address, NA, certification by coroner or medical examiner, yes. Name of the coroner or medical examiner. Type of disposition of body, cremation, date of disposition unknown, place of burial, NA, Michelson Funeral Home, and the funeral director. That's literally it.
So, yeah. And what was it about David's that? Oh, hello, room. Hi, Deb. Hi, Nova. Hi, Greg. Hi, Russell. Who else is
Hello,
here?
everyone.
I think we got everybody.
You know, I looked at this years ago, and I just found it over the weekend. I remember years ago that I had questions in regards to this, but now I don't remember what they were.
Yeah, the only thing that, I question is, the no record of the identifying marks, because, tattoos are considered identifying marks, but they're not even listed. They could just have simply said tattoos or something, but it's like they just leave it blank for all of them. Well, him and Mel.
And then, like, no build, no eye color, no complexion. I don't. I mean, the ME was filling this out.
Mm-hmm.
They had everything else for them, right?
Yeah. They had photos and they had other things that they went by to compare to make sure it's them, which clearly show their complexion, which clearly shows, possible eye color, but they can't mark that down. So that was interesting. Yeah, and it appears that, oh man, it looks like we got stood up. I'm always getting stood up. It's like, okay, this is not fun. I don't know. So I did speak with Sarah earlier today, and everything was still a go, which is why we still kept this up. So I don't know if she just got stuck in traffic, if she got called into work.
And the weather is bad across the country too. I mean,
Yeah. Well, she
hopefully,
does, work in a mortuary. Just so you guys know, she does work in a mortuary. So, it's her business. I mean, it's a family business. So she could very easily have been, something happened. And so she had to go in. But at the same time, you know, yeah, because I did have questions for her for people that have called in, or not called in, but wrote questions down. Do any of you guys have anything you want to discuss? Anything about the case?
this might be the shortest life.
I know, right? Well, I really want to wait just a little bit longer because I'm hoping that if she, got called into work, she'll still make it in. Again, because, like I said, I did talk to her earlier and she said she would be here and gave no indication that, she wouldn't show up. But for me, it's like what I was going to find interesting that she definitely wanted to talk about what caught her eye. Again, like so many of us, it was the rate of decomp, and it does not match the narrative of the 3 to 4 weeks being on the floor in a house. It just isn't. She had sent me, actually, she might have sent it to both of us, I think, in our group chat, where
Yes.
she was talking about how she goes, they would definitely be more liquefying after 3 to 4 weeks. And I'm like, yeah. Is she local? She's actually on the East Coast. So, which is why I set up this time so it would fit both Sophia and her. Um, and she did, she was making sure because I think, how my stupid brain and trying to remember, I think she had to work or she was trying to make sure it was the day she didn't have to go into work. But with a job like working in a mortuary, you just never know. Sometimes you just got to go when you got to go.
Yeah.
But yeah, she did not come off to me as like a flake with usually how everybody, well, 90% of the people that we've scheduled either recordings or lives with, who have every single one of them flaked almost, they appeared kind of flakish, when Sophie and I would try to talk to them. But that's not the feeling I got from Sarah. I really think something with Sarah is, she just got busy.
Correct. That's exactly what I think happened too.
Yeah. And Nova says, we will keep marching on for David and his family. We are the army and the voice. Absolutely. Absolutely. And that's part of the problem is I'm not sure why the police and the ME's office thought that they could get away with calling this what they did. Maybe they just didn't assume that people would look into this. They would just go, oh, okay, oh, he killed his family, what a loser, and then just let it go. I don't think they were counting on people to actually request the documents and look at them and then say, oh, wait a second, this isn't right. How do you feel about that, Sophia?
Can you repeat one more time? I had two people talking at once.
Oh, okay. I was just saying that I don't think that the Apple Valley Police Department and the ME's office took the time to realize that people would look into this case and then question their narrative, because if they had, I'm not sure they would have written it up the way they did. What do you think?
Yeah, I absolutely agree. I mean, it would have made their lives a lot easier if they would have known that people were going to be looking at this and would be open to questions and stuff. But I also can understand that they're busy. But the way that they just shut off everything has really raised a lot of red flags. The way that they've acted in regards to this case in general from the very beginning has raised red flags. I mean, he might not have been Michael Jackson or Steven Spielberg, that kind of famous, but there was a documentary made about him. There were, he was in the process of becoming famous. The police knew who he was. They worked with him on projects. And I mean, there was going to be questions. And I'm sorry, I'm distracted. So, yeah, I don't know. It would have been a lot easier on them. Would have been a lot easier for this case in general.
Yeah, and what I find interesting is, when reading the police reports, and so many people say that these were seasoned officers, right? That this wasn't really their first rodeo. But the way they write their reports, I'm beginning to wonder if they even know what a rodeo is. For so-called seasoned officers to write stuff like, there's advanced decomposition, everything is so bad, and then you look and then you're like, no, it's not. This isn't, no, it's not what you're saying. And then to have not only a lot of the general public, but then the media take what these officers say and run with it as if it's gospel, and these officers are wrong. Like one of them was saying David's left hand was missing, the gun is on his right side, when it was the exact opposite. Its right hand is missing and the gun was on his left side. You're like, wow, I don't think they stopped to really consider much of anything.
Yeah, I'd like to put this out there for everybody. I have looked into quite a few cases since I started looking into the David Crowley case. I've sent FOIAs off. And in fact, one of the cases was actually investigated by the same detectives that investigated the David Crowley and, Kamel Crowley and Ronnie Crowley's deaths. I got things in that case that I never got in regards to this case, like photos of where the gun was found. And I got recordings from witnesses and stuff. And the 911 call, all that stuff came with it. Now, they didn't have autopsy reports available, and they didn't have BCA lab work available because the BCA didn't investigate that case. But then I go to a different state and I sent a FOIA. This is in regards to somebody that used to work with David when they were in the military. And I requested that case. They sent me a box, a medium-sized box, and it was filled with everything, including correspondences that he sent while he was in jail all throughout the trial process and stuff. I'm not talking about David. I'm talking about the person who he used to work with in the military. And it had like his military records in it. And I mean, just everything you could think of was in that box. And I got even CDs. I haven't even looked at them yet. I've had them for years. I haven't even looked at them. But I was just like, wow, I got this. I was really surprised. And it just, the CD has like the interrogations, it has witness statements, everything on there. And I was just really, really surprised by that. And then we go to the.
How did that compare to what you got for David?
What did I get for David?
How did it compare? You know, the volume of documents comparatively speaking.
Well, it was a medium-sized box. When it came in the mail, I'm just like, holy moly. You know, compared to a manila envelope with a couple CDs in it. I was really surprised. Of course, I think if you printed out everything for the Crowley case, it could go in a small box. But, you know, it's just was interesting in regards to that. And the records for both the other cases were so detailed that I was really surprised. It wasn't vague. You weren't sitting there wondering, okay, now how was he laying, you know, or her laying, that kind of thing. It was well documented. Now, granted, both cases happened after David Crowley's death. So, and then we get to the Kylie Rodney case, where that one is just, I don't even know what's going on with it anymore. Where when the FOIA was sent off, they said, you know, the case was still ongoing, which, you know, you kind of think, okay, yeah, it is ongoing still. This was months ago. And then a lot of people assumed that it was closed, but it's only closed with Truckee and Dakota County. It's not, is it Dakota County?
Placer.
Placer County, but Nevada County. Nevada. Sorry, Nevada
Dakota's
County.
Minnesota, yeah.
Sorry. Nevada County and Placer County have only closed it. It was the state troopers that were still doing their investigation. Whether or not it's closed now, that's a totally different story. I have no clue. But, you know, that's the one case where I've ever gotten in denial, saying, no, nobody is getting anything from that anymore. And they just shut everybody down. And, you know, she was only 16 years old, so I can imagine the reason why that is.
Yeah, and it is quite curious as to why the city attorney would, you know, just deny to release any more information. I know they gave the reason being that if the case were to go to court, then blah, blah, blah. But when you look at this logically speaking, it's like they have the original documents. And when somebody fakes a document like what was done with, you know, in Crowley's case, it's evident and it's easy to prove that it's faked, and it's easy to show the original and real documents. So that excuse isn't holding water for me. Not at all. So, you know, either tell us you've reopened it, or start handing out the information that you guys promised us, because we were waiting on, like, what, a 7,000 page document or something like that. How
Yeah.
long? It was huge.
It was text messages, emails, anything electrical. We were waiting on that. Electronic. Mhm.
Yeah, and they did say they were going to send it, but I think that instead of, paying their employees to have to go in and redact a lot of stuff, they're just like, we'll just, we'll tell everybody we're not handing out information. So they're violating FOIA without really telling us the truth. Again, be straight up front. Say, we've reopened this case. We're not or we're reclassifying it, whatever the case may be. So therefore, we're not releasing any more documents, or release the documents.
If you believe certain people, they claim that they have those documents. I'm not believing them, because if they got it, then we should be able legally to get it too.
Yep.
But then again, they also created the fake document, so
yeah,
there you
because that kind of, because if that's the case, if they have it but others are being denied, that doesn't hold up well. Favoritism like that in a court of law doesn't hold up at all. They're really looking at a lot of trouble. But why would they release that to the people that they knew faked it? They know it came from them. It was provided to them, the chain of custody of these documents, where it went to. So the city attorney and the Apple Valley Police Department knows exactly where that fake document came from. So then why would they in turn say, oh, okay, here? I mean, and how did they get that when they weren't even done doing all the redactions? Because we were told that it would take a while.
I don't know. I mean, like, they supposedly had the journal a year before we did. And I don't know.
Well, did we ask? And I don't know, because I know I never asked for it. But did someone from the group ask for the journal right away, or did they wait too long? Wait a while.
I didn't hear you because that was falling.
Oh, what I asked is, now, maybe they requested the journal before someone in our group did, or did someone from our group request that journal right away? Could that be why they got it first?
I'm not exactly sure. I'm not privy to that. All I know is, as soon as I realized that the journal was available, I turned around and sent that FOIA off and said, hey, I want this, and I want the text messages, and I want the emails, and anything else I can get off that computer. I even asked for the other scripts and everything, just anything that I could get off that computer that they had. And her message back to me was, yes, but it's going to take some time because we have to go through and redact it. And that was the last thing I heard. And then that second letter from the
Yeah, I
county.
know. I sent out several FOIAs, and only one was one where they actually sent something back, and I can't even remember what was sent. But I think shortly after it was sent to me, it was sent to both you and Greg. So then Greg posted it, but I can't remember what they sent me. I think I just deleted it because, Greg you guys already got it and it was on there. So it's not even on my system anymore. But then after that, I'd sent another request, and every other one other than that has just been ignored. I don't even get a screw you, go jump in a lake. I just get radio silence, crickets.
Yeah, I was trying to find my email exchange with them. Let me go to that email.
Greg says we didn't ask for it in 2015 because the police reports made it clear there was nothing of value in the journal. Well, that was clearly wrong, wasn't it? Because there's quite a bit of value in that journal. Yeah, and I'm in the process of writing everything down from that journal and putting it into a spreadsheet. That takes a while. And it's quite interesting, though, the pattern that is appearing from that data. And I can't wait till, because once I get that done, we will post it to the group and it'll become available for everybody. But it's interesting.
Okay. Mine it says my name, of course. That's her response to me. This is in response to your data request dated July 26, 2021. Included are the items you have requested. There are two Celebrate files, PDF files that contain over 7,000 pages of data, which will take significant amount of time to go through as they contain both public and private data. Once you have reviewed the reports attached, let me know if the Celebrate reports are still needed. I have no time frame as to when the Celebrate would be available to you. Thank you. And then it's the administrative manager of Apple Valley Police Department.
Yeah,
And
Greg,
I do want those files.
yeah, exactly. Exactly. It's like we do need it. Greg goes on to state that nothing of value, as in they didn't find anything in the journal that would lead them to believe David was guilty. Thank you for clarifying, Greg. Yeah, so they found nothing, but yet, there's no motive. They found nothing that shows he did it. The gun is on the wrong side of his body. The gunshot wounds don't even match. They don't have anything with his blood, but yet they still determine he did it. I want to know their thought process.
Just crazy.
Yeah.
So my response back was, I don't need the printed out pages of the Celebrate file. I would just think it's much easier for the digital file. And so I was just trying to save time and money.
Yeah, that would have saved them quite a bit of money.
And then she responded back, you are welcome for the files sent. The Celebrate files will be sent digitally when available. I still have no timetable for when this will be completed. And then I just thanked her for her time and effort.
Don't they by law, though, have to give a reasonable time frame? They can't just leave it open-ended like that.
Yeah, I think they do by law, but it doesn't matter now. It's all null and void.
So in other words, I think everything it just leads back to having to go to court with this ridiculous, the city. I mean, we shouldn't have to go and spend money and time and sue them in court for documents that are public information.
That they promised us in the first place.
Yeah, this is pure insanity. All because somebody that they supposedly were sending information to stabbed them in the back. So they're punishing everybody else for somebody they trusted. No, take it out on them, arrest them, who did it. So all of this would be moot, I would think.
Yeah, allegedly.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah, unless, do you guys have any questions, anything you want to talk about? Because it is apparent to me now, you know me, I have zero patience in these things. It's apparent we are not going to have our guest speaker again. Oh my God. This has happened so many times. I'm just going to, I tell you, you would think fool me once, and I'm not saying this to her, I'm talking about in general terms, the fool me once, shame on you. But nope, it's like fool me 50 bazillion times. I fall for it every time. Sure, let's schedule. And then people don't show.
Next time, let's just record.
Yeah. But we all talked about it and said we were going to go live so people could actually ask questions, come here and ask questions, because the main thing is that Sarah was just gonna basically let everybody know that those bodies were not in advanced stages of decomp. They were early to moderate. That they were not on that floor for 3 or 4 weeks. It's just basically everything we've been saying, except for it was going to come from somebody who actually works in that field. I've enjoyed this regardless, team. Thank you, Nova. Thanks. Yeah. But we can talk about anything. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Our next show is going to be going over the phone records and basically touching on, I guess, I'm not exactly sure what Derek wanted out of that. But
oh yeah.
He just requested the phone records. And so we decided that we would go over that. I did write a chapter in regards to it. So I guess I can just kind of give a cursory view of the chapter.
Well, it's like the phone records, just like everything else in this case, that I would really like to go back and reiterate, which was something I found when I was going through and taking it off of the AT&T report and then putting it into a spreadsheet, is that there is a phone number where David's and Kamel's phone calls were being filtered through. Now, whether or not they know or knew about it, I don't know. But I did research on this particular phone number and this particular person. I did this a while ago. And this was a habit of theirs. So maybe David and Kamel didn't even know. And it's a scam that some people do. And, people do weird things. They get their jollies in weird ways. But I just find it interesting. There are so many odd things in this case. And that was just one more thing. Why is someone, basically hijacking their phone numbers and having calls routed through them? What were they responding to? And, these supposed text messages and texts that people say David gave and made to them, was it really done by this other person off of their phone line? And they think it was coming from David and Kamel, because it wasn't. We have proof of that.
And do you remember when that started? Was it in November or?
No, I think it was like I'd have to go back and look, but I thought it was somewhere around October. I think it was like not long after whatever the dates were that were on the reports. It wasn't long after that. It was like within that same month. So it might have been October.
Okay. I have to go back and double check that.
Yeah, I mean, I can pull it up real quick. It's not like we have anything else to do at the moment. So if everybody just wants to hold on tight, maybe you can discuss something while I grab that report real quick.
One of the things that I found interesting in regards to the AT&T reports is when you double check the police reports against the AT&T reports, all of them, certain phone calls, certain text messages were never done. People said, oh yeah, I called David back in December and, he didn't answer, but I called him. And then you go and you look, that call was never made. Or, yeah, I text Kamel back and forth. We had this text stream going on. Those texts never showed up.
Right.
And as I showed on a different live, you can go into your contacts and change. For instance, I'm going to do something benign here. I don't want to do that one. We'll do Pottery Barn. For instance, this says Pottery Barn. And you notice up here, that right there, the number, that's their text number. I'm going to change it real quick. You go to, okay, maybe I can't do it on that one. Never mind. Oh, wait. Add to contacts. So I'm going to cancel real quick. Right up here. Ooh, sorry, my dyslexia. I'm going to add to contacts. I'm going to change the name to Comel. Save. Now I have Comel, Crowley, and Pottery Barn.
Yep. And it was so easy. It's so easy to do that, to make it look like that's Kamel sending that information.
So that text message that we received in the Apple Valley Police reports was not sent from Heidi and to Kamel, and Kamel was corresponding back and forth between November and December. That didn't occur. You go back and you look at both her Apple Valley, or both of her AT&T records. There's no text exchange going on whatsoever. This is clearly, her messages are clearly text messages. And you just saw how easily it was for me to change that to her name. I'm gonna go back and see if I can, I'm gonna go back and change it again.
Yeah, I don't know why I don't have the spreadsheet for the phone on this one. It's on the other laptop. So, and then Greg says, hopefully this Sunday we can do part 3 on Ken Maines. Yes, and that would be good, folks.
And now I just changed it back to Pottery Barn. So there we go.
Yeah.
It's super easy to do. And somebody did that with their text messages to somebody else and said, oh yeah, I was talking with Kamel between these states. Look, we even met. Do we know that that even occurred, that meeting?
There's no proof. And, all we can do is go by, like you said, the reports, the AT&T reports, and the AT&T reports are clear that it did not happen.
Well, it's going to change it. Okay.
Oh, we want hot Greg.
My all caps keeps trying to go on.
Oh no. Oh, he might like that. So you can be
I know,
screaming
right?
hot Greg.
There we go. Hot Greg.
Oh, even have flames.
I actually need to block this number. When I'm thinking about it. Delete messages.
So, yeah, I'm going to pull it up on this other laptop here real quick because it's not on this one that I'm on. But because I want everybody to know when those phone calls started getting filtered.
Okay.
I live for all caps. God, he cracks me up. Oh my gosh, he's so funny. Okay. Takes a while. It's a minute. Okay, and I'll go to David's phone record and yeah, starting like right away on David's the second call on the AT&T report, which was dated October 22nd. It was already going through her account. So it could have been before that because the records we got didn't start until October. So we don't know how long this person had been filtering their phone calls through her phone line.
Wow.
And with Kamel, it started Same day, the 22nd of October.
Immediately.
Immediately.
I wonder if they were doing it to the number. No, that'd be too much of a coincidence.
Yes, you are the captain. Oh gosh. And for anybody who's wondering what that means, just go to Greg's other channel.
God. Never mind.
But yeah, so we will be going over the phone records, and we'll cover all of that because, you know, and again, this is something that's important, something that the police should have been able to put together and go, oh wait, there's phone calls being routed through this other phone number. People are saying they're getting texts, but it's not, or, you know, giving and receiving texts, but that's not on the reports we have. You would think that they would put two and two together.
They just didn't want to, I'm assuming, because they already had the guilty party.
Yeah, and you know, and that's the frustrating thing is they had in their mind a guilty party. They're blaming somebody that they can't even literally place the weapon in his hand, you know, because his weapon is there, but they have no prints per se. His blood is not on there. His blood isn't anywhere around. They don't even have the bullet that killed him. They have, but yet they have phone records that show someone else was, you know, I don't know what's the word, messing around with. There's a word for messing around with their phone. And
Well, we have another word for it.
yeah,
This is PG. Trying to solve it.
I'm gonna be BPC here. Yeah, and it's would have been so easy for them to not only find this. I found this person, and I found it years later. So imagine how much easier it would have been for them to pull it up, to go to her house, to find out why she's doing this, and then get a court order for her phone records to find out exactly what's going on, because that is a crime. You know, from my research, this person, they had been charged with this crime before. Why didn't they follow up on that? Oh, it's so frustrating.
I know there's so much about this case where you're just like, but why? Why? Why didn't you do this? Why didn't you do that? You know, but I guess the only thing that I can think of at this point is the fact that there was no reason to. They knew who was guilty, and you know, they'd already convicted him. There was no need to ask any other questions.
Yeah, you know, and I was wondering too, and maybe even people in the audience that are listening, it's like, how often have you ever heard the police like state, okay, either somebody did it, you know, this is the person, it's a murder suicide, and they're guilty, and then later come back and say, oops, we made a mistake. It was somebody else. Did they back themselves into a corner by being so cocky from the beginning and saying it was David, and then when they started getting the proof it wasn't, it was too late to back out? I don't know.
I don't think I've ever heard of a case that's ever been retracted like that.
Yeah.
I mean, there's plenty of people who are sitting in prison right now who are wrongfully convicted. And how many times do you hear about them?
Like
getting a new trial, getting the case overturned. It's like DNA is the only thing that will overturn that case.
And sometimes even with DNA, they still have to fight it and fight it and fight it just to get them to go, oh, okay, well, I guess we'll let you out. It's like the moment they have convicted somebody, they will be damned, excuse the language, if they're going to go back and say they were wrong. They will fight to the death to say they're right, knowing they are wrong. And it's like this the same thing we're fighting, and we're with this case, they know darn well they're wrong, but they will go down fighting instead of admitting it. And that to me doesn't make sense. I lose all respect for anybody who does that. I don't care who it is. Greg says if the family would have stepped up, it may have forced police to backtrack a little. That's true. Yeah, exactly. Either family, if either one of them had stood up for their family members, we wouldn't be in this position.
I have to wonder if Catherine Crowley, if she would have lived longer, if she would have fought for this case to be reopened.
I believe she would have, just by the little things that, and again, could be wrong, but she did not believe it. She's just like, that just doesn't sound like David. And I think that even if she were alive today, and if she could see everything we have found, I believe she would be fighting that tooth and nail. She would do anything to clear her son's name. But alas, we're left with no family. And that's what I don't understand. Most cases, even if they know the person's guilty, they will cover for them, hide them, lie for them, and everything. But I've just have never found a case where the guy is so blatantly innocent and the families are just completely turn their back and go, okay, go ahead, call him guilty. We don't care. It's a total injustice to David and his wife and his daughter. Yes, Nova, that's so true. It really is. And they don't care. They don't care. And I cannot wrap my head around that. I can't.
If anything, like for the innocents in this case, there's Capel, there's Rania, their families, the alums, the Crowleys. Even if they think that David is guilty in one way or another, or they didn't like him.
It's the strongest evidence I've seen his death was faked. Yeah, we've been talking a lot about that, Greg, Sophia and I.
I'm not sure.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
I'm not sure if we ever wanted to get into it. I was going to mention that just a couple minutes ago, and I had to take a deep breath.
Well, the stuff
get into that.
I mean, the stuff you and I were talking about, I'm not going to publicly at all, but definitely the idea of could his death have been faked? Yes, and we're not saying it was. Please understand, we're not saying that. But it's things like this that make us step up and go, we're going to give it a possibility now. Because
for me right now, it's 50-50. And I need to find information one way or another. I mean, if he did fake his death and they are in hiding for the reason of keeping their family safe, then don't want to expose that because he's trying to
be no good.
But if he did this just to make the documentary, because he sold his movie or his script and they decided, oh, this would be an interesting twist to make it into a documentary, then expose his ass.
Yeah, but this documentary just sucks. I'm sorry. I cannot believe David had anything to do with it.
He didn't direct it. He sold it.
The best scenario, hold on a second. I get you. The best case scenario, in my opinion, I lean against it, but trying to keep an open mind. That's Greg. And then he also said, if they did fake their deaths, they could be crisis actors. And what were you going to say, Sophia?
Okay, so allegedly, it's just.
Let's throw it out there as an option.
Yeah, it's just a theory. We've had so many people saying, oh, they're not dead. They're just crisis actors or this and that. Well, there's some evidence that's come to light, and I'm not going to say what it is, but there's some evidence that's come to light that shows that it's very possible that they did fake their life, their deaths. And whether or not they're crisis actors, I mean, that's another question, because everything before they're married is up in the air. You don't know anything about them. So, I mean, it's just, to me, it's a big question mark. Cannell has the perfect excuse. She moved here from a different country. So you can't really check that information. And David, I mean, there's really nothing. You do have his DD 214 from the military. You can't fake that.
Nope.
So there is that. But I mean, everything else before that, I don't have a clue in regards to who he was before he joined the military.
Yeah, I mean, we only have like stories from Mitch Heil and then some of the videos of David when he was younger.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean that, just because his background can be traced doesn't mean that he couldn't have faked his death at all. But
Correct.
yeah.
And
So
like I said, we do have strong evidence that this could have happened this way. And if we could prove one way or another.
yeah, I'm going to tell you guys straight up here, the only reason I will not go public with what it is that she's speaking about is because I don't know. I mean, A, it's just very strong evidence. But B, is if they are in witness protection for whatever reason, I don't want to be the one that's going to say, oh, yeah, okay, here's the definitive proof that they lied and now go find them. And then they would be, their lives would be in danger. And I wouldn't want to do that. I wouldn't want to be the one I couldn't sleep at night if that were the case. But it's definitely an interesting theory at this point, but it's a theory. However, that doesn't change the fact that there are 3 bodies in that house.
Yeah.
And those bodies are telling a story. And that story those bodies are telling is that the male died first. If that's David, or even if it's not David, that person died first. So their theories and their narrative cannot hold up to the evidence being presented.
Exactly. And so I just remember our conversations before you came to that conclusion. Oh no, it's him. It's him.
Well, I mean, the body, and when you look at the facial structures, though, I mean, it has the same. I don't want to get into it because
Yeah,
I don't want people going, I want to see it, but but then when I was showing you the other stuff, then all of a sudden it's like, I won't tell you guys what I said, but you can fill in the colorful metaphors. And it took me quite a while before I presented it to Sophia. Because, when you see something like that, all of a sudden it's like getting kicked in the gut, because we've been working on this for what, 8 years? 8 freaking years we've put our heart, our blood, sweat, and tears into this. So, I just want to make sure, I just have to make sure one way or the other. I need to know, but I don't know right now. Like Sophia right now, I'm no longer 100% convinced. I'm at 50-50 with Sophia, maybe leaning a little more towards 75-25.
Yeah, and you possibly could, Greg.
Should have got a picture. Yeah, a lot of people do look like him. That's true. It's very, it's like he does. He has kind of a common face, but at the same time, different, unique features, but common face, if that makes sense.
I'm bad at faces. Recognizing people, I really am. That names, I'm super bad at.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Same here. I could talk to somebody 50 times and then, not see them for a bit. And then they can walk up to me on the street and start, dee, 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 and I'll be like, who are you? Why are you talking to me? I just had that the other day. It was really funny. One of the neighbors, you know, um, I noticed that they had been taken by ambulance and stuff like that. So but next thing you know, a day or two later, somebody comes knocking on my door and I open the door and they're like, oh, hi. And they're calling me by name and talking to me. And I'm like, I don't know you. And then when they told me who, oh, yeah, my brother. And I'm like, oh, yeah, duh, completely forgot. Didn't remember them. Ah, yeah, in a way, he does kind of look like Snowden a bit. Oh, wait. Oh, wait. I got the back of his head in a photo. Show us the picture. I want to see the back of his head. But anyway, it's interesting to think about. So I don't know. I don't know. What made you bring that up, Greg? Because Sophie and I have been very tight-lipped about this for quite some time.
We're incredibly tight-lipped.
Yeah.
I swear I didn't tell him. I didn't say a word.
Yeah, and I didn't either. So I'm waiting for Greg to type out his response. Type it away. But again, this is just something. Right now. This is an open theory. We're not saying that we have definitive proof. I'm just saying something I noticed is now pushed me from 100% that this is David on the floor to now I'm like at 25% it's David on the floor.
Yeah.
I'm waiting. Greg, are you typing? Please don't make us fill in the silence. Yep,
Well, it was, you said, here.
Is he typing to you and not typing to us? Are you the special one?
I could get him to type to me. If the family would have stepped up, it would have made the okay, there he goes. I've been looking at this case since 2015. There were some articles about Greg State being a psyops, which is true. There are articles. There's even videos of that too.
Who's typing to you? Or is that your thoughts?
Oh, he's in the comments right there.
Oh, it just showed up. I'm sorry. It's delayed for me. I'll pop this up. Yeah, that's true. And I know we've been looking at this since 2017 and yeah. And I don't know. I kind of blew off that whole theory.
If you go back and read his comments, he thinks that because of the family not stepping up would be his strongest case for them, why they're covering and why this is possibly faked death kind of thing, because they're so tight-lipped and they didn't fight to have more proof of what happened. So
yeah, it was accepted awfully easily, just too easily, and we've been looking into a lot of different cases, and lately, even cases I've been looking to, from say A&E, these different channels that have all of these, evil lives here and stuff like that. And you look at these families and you're getting their like 48 hours, you're getting their raw emotions, their initial response to family members who have either died or were accused of something. And I have yet out of the probably thousands of shows I've watched, see a family just go, okay, yeah, they did it. Which is what they've done. They've just so readily accepted it.
okay, because of DNA, I don't really think that they faked their deaths. Where do you think they got the DNA from? The bodies of the people that were laying on the carpet in their living room is where they got the DNA from.
Well, and two, and like I was, because explaining to Sophia, you can easily get tubes of blood from somebody and just send it into an envelope to the lab. I don't think the lab, and this is again, it's a theory. This is just tossing something out there that I think the lab really got their DNA, and I think it was taken from the real them, not whatever or whoever was on the floor. If it's not them. And David was accused of Gray State being a psyop because of how long it took from the 2012 trailer to the 2014 announcement he was making a deal. I thought they got the DNA from the
They did get the DNA from the bodies. Yes.
I'm saying, Greg, that if those bodies were, this is supposition and theory. Let's theorize that those bodies are not the Crowley family. So the blood and the DNA at the lab did not come from them. It came from the real Crowleys. It's something, if you're looking at a real psyop, we're talking about a lot of people involved in this. So you get their DNA ahead of time and you include it and then you send it in. Because if you need something to back up your story in case somebody says, well, let's compare it to David's Dan Sr., you have to have the real thing. It wouldn't be hard to get real blood.
Well, they could also have gotten the blood from the bodies, and they used the blood from those bodies to stage the scene.
Yeah.
But the DNA test, it did match the bodies. Because they didn't have any DNA on file for David, Kamel, or Rania.
But if it's a psyop, you're going to have that handy. It is so easy to draw somebody's blood, keep that in a little tube. So when you need it, here you go. Send this to the lab. We're going to kind of dip this and we're going to say this swab came from so-and-so. Because if you are looking to, because say somewhere down the line, we've got to compare this. They're going to come back and do DNA. It's got to match the family. So, you don't want DNA and blood from bodies on the floor that are not them. Because then if something further on down the line, you're going to go, not a match. That's not them. So you've got to have their actual DNA on hand. So that to me that's the easiest thing to explain. That's super easy. But yeah, this is a huge rabbit hole, folks. It goes deep and far.
It's not just one rabbit hole, it's like numerous.
Yeah, and the way they identified Rania is very suspicious. Doesn't seem like a positive ID. You want to talk? This has bothered you too, Sophia.
Yeah, but I don't want to go into much about the ID. So.
Yeah, I was just going to pull that up really quick and see how they ID'd her real quick and read that from the autopsy report. In fact, let me share that so everybody can see. Share screen. Share it.
I'm going to mute myself for a minute.
Okay. Okay, and you guys should be, oops, hold on a second. Okay, there we go. You can see here identification. And this is, just so you can see it, this is Rania's autopsy report. And it states a medical examiner's identification tag is attached to the body bag and is labeled with appropriate case identifying information and recorded physical features. Positive identification is made by circumstantial information. The body bag is sealed with a yellow lock. So they did it, but they don't say what kind of circumstantial information. So I'm assuming that because they had David and Kamel, and then David and Kamel had a child. So then therefore, according to the circumstances, this must be Rania. But yeah, so I did find that interesting and how they worded that. Yeah. Circumstantial information. Yep, we just read that. I think it's in the BCA document. but it's also in the autopsy report. So it is interesting. And they do say that they identified David and Kamel by dental radiographs and then by tattoos. So, you know, why didn't they do radio dental grafts for Rania? I mean, she was 5 years old. I'm sure she's been to the dentist. I mean,
Yeah.
people had great teeth. One of them had fabulous teeth. I think it was Kamel. Whichever one, I'm not sure because it doesn't really say who had these, but they were like these amazing, perfect teeth, no fillings, no dental work. And I'm like,
I think that was David and Camille had, yeah, because it said no major reconstructive work or anything like that for David.
was it David? I know. Okay, well, I knew one of them had these amazing teeth, and I'm like, wow, we should all be so lucky. um,
Yeah, because for Connor's going back to the dentist tomorrow. And I was like, why is he going back to the dentist? He was just there a couple of months ago. And he's only like almost 3. So he doesn't have bad teeth or anything like that. And my daughter said it's because of the insurance. The insurance wants him to go every 3 months. And I was like, okay.
well, yeah, and if it's paid for, get them used to it now. Yeah, that just makes sense to me.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would.
Because my kids were growing up, they went twice a year. And they hated going to dentists, especially my son. But now it's like these kids are going every few months. And it's mainly, and they start young. They start really young at 6 months old. And they go. So it's just getting them used to the dentist now, like you said. That's all it really is.
Yeah.
And Greg said Hollywood teeth.
Yeah, it's like great teeth. Oh my goodness. Yeah. Holy cow. Well,
You mean prop teeth?
prop teeth, the veneers. Oh man. Well, I don't know. Unless anybody has anything else they want to talk about, I guess we'll wrap this up. And all I can say is I'm really sorry. I did not hear from her. She hasn't responded to. I'm going to check the Facebook messages here real quick. Nope, no response. But like I said, I talked to her this morning and she said she'd be there. And so I don't know. I don't know what happened. And I'm really sorry because we had some good questions waiting for her. But maybe we can get her to, instead of doing a live, maybe we can get a recording. And then if we get a recording, then I'll do a live premiere. So then people, I don't know, that doesn't make sense either because we still can't ask her questions. I don't know. I'm sorry. I tried. We're trying, but it didn't work out. Sorry, everybody.
It's disappointing, but I really do hope that she will reschedule and we can do this again.
Is this is this the first time she was planning on joining? Yes, but I set the date because this was the date she gave us. All last week and over the weekend she was working or she was busy, and so she said she had today available. So this was why we did it today. But again, maybe because of her job, she got called in last minute and it would be completely out of her hands. So I'll just wait to see what she says when I hear from her. Maybe she got cold feet.
I hope not.
Yeah, I know a lot of other people. In fact, probably the majority of everybody else that we've set it up and they just don't show. That was definitely the case. They got cold feet and decided they didn't want to go and be on a video. But with her, I mean, she's been so professional. And what she shared with me and what we talked about earlier today, I could be wrong, but she didn't come across as somebody who would get cold feet, but doesn't mean I'm right. Thank you, team. It's all appreciated. Much love and thoughts from New Zealand. Oh, thank you, Nova. But Any other questions, or can we go ahead and wrap this up? Do you have anything else you want to add, Sophia?
If you've enjoyed our show tonight, please click the like button. If you're not subscribed, please subscribe. And I want to thank everybody in the live chat for joining us tonight and our listeners joining us tonight. We really appreciate it. It's because of your support that we continue to do these.
Yeah.
So thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you.
Yes.
And again, if it turns out that she just got called away on work, and again, because of her job, she works in this field, so and maybe we can get another live scheduled, because I'm telling you, this woman has so much knowledge, and I just know she has so much to share, and she could help explain a lot of things to a lot of us and make things a lot clearer. But anyway, thank you guys for joining, and thank you for your patience. Go ahead.
For everybody who's listening right now and future listeners, if you would like to join Catherine and I on a live or a recording, you don't have to show your face. You can just have an icon, or what do they call it? Just a little
avatar,
symbol.
whatever.
Yeah. You're more than welcome to join us, and you can discuss anything in regards to this case. We always welcome people. You don't have to be a professional.
Nope. Even if you just want to come on and just talk about the case, and you have something you want to just get out there, you have an idea or a thought,
Absolutely. We welcome you to join us. Because this case isn't just about Catherine and I or Greg or Dan. This case is everybody involved. So we welcome you all.
Yep.
And other than that, thank you all for joining us. We really, really, truly appreciate it.
Yep. Again, and thanks everybody. Have a good night, and we will all see you guys real soon, hopefully. Bye.
Bye.